Critical EDH, kid tested, mother approved. I'm Eric, and I'm here with.
Hi, I'm Logan.
And we're here in the car. It's just me, Logan, and the 29 bus up there.
And fucking 80 pounds of equipment in the front here.
Yeah, man, if I thought I had a lot between my legs before, I sure do now. So we are on the way up to the only Flubs tournament. Up to Fort Collins. And we just thought we'd record a short little pod. It's been a while since we've done a video.
This is going to be an hour at least.
Yeah, but I mean, we always say it's going to be short, and then
short for us is an hour, and then we'll go from there.
I'm excited about the tournament. I think it's gonna be really fun to see. A lot of fun people are gonna be there. All the Blight Club people, super nice. I'm really excited to get to attend an event by them. Mm-hmm. Comedian's gonna be there. Freedom Waffles is gonna be there. We're gonna be there. You know, all the big names.
This is the first tournament we're just covering. We're not actually participating in.
I'm really excited to see how it goes. I think I've really been enjoying playing in tournaments lately, just because I just feel like I'm learning to see the game in a new way, and but also I just enjoy getting to do the channel stuff. So it'll be really cool having to have the experience last weekend, I think, of primarily just being there for tournament stuff. We did some channel stuff, but we were zipping around playing mostly, and then this weekend is going to be
more just critical EDH stuff and rubbing elbows with people, and we like doing that.
I think that's so. I mean, one of the things I'm most looking forward to about the Heisenberg is just the amount of people we'll get to hang out with.
I'm excited to have our own booth.
It'll be really cool.
Yeah, and soon to be our own playmat.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that playmat looked so cool. I'm so excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
I went from having the one playmat that I'd basically been using for almost a year and a half to like 5 playmats literally within the span of like 2 weeks, because I got the Loomer one, the Fishbowl one, gonna get this one. I don't know, it's fun. I think it's, for me, I see it as, and I think a lot of people see accumulating cards or playmats or any kind of like paraphernalia associated with the hobby as also the accrual of like memories and time spent with people. And so,
God, if I weren't sentimental before, I am now.
Yeah. I just feel like it's a great time to be playing Magic. How do you feel like? Do you feel like Magic's been pretty fun for you lately?
I mean, I had a blast yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We played at the local game store. We recorded a bunch of games. Just getting to hang out with people, and dude, everyone was like clamoring to get into the recording pod.
It was fun. Got to play a game with Evan on Flubs.
Not Freedom Waffle Evan. Other Evan. Yeah, he was practicing for the tournament.
Got to always fun to get to play against Jay on Marnius. It will likely have been released by the time this video comes out, but I was watching on our Patreon. I'm on the free tier, so I only.
Is that like money laundering if you pay for our own Patreon and like it comes back to us? But like, it's money laundering in like a negative sense, because we're actually just losing money.
Money laundering the long way. But Jay is always just cracking jokes in games, and it just makes me laugh so much. Then, but in the game that we recorded and put up on Patreon, it was after the game with Evan, and it was with Austin, who usually is on Glarb or Master of Keys, but has been playing Tevish Glass lately, and he's also just a super duper fun guy to play with.
But you were asking, like, is Magic feeling fun to play? I mean, our whole schedule is packed full of Magic events and stuff coming up. So yeah, I mean, we're not doing it because it's work. We're doing it because it's fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I was talking to about this the other day. I would play Magic like all day, every day if I could. I mean, there's definitely those moments where I think everyone can have like a really
take a break
frustrating
sometimes.
Game but dude, it's just I just love the game so much. I love watching it. I love playing it. I love just being in places where people are playing Magic. Is just I literally just think it's like the best game.
Well, CDH, a lot of it's the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your strategy is the same over and over again, but the little micro differences every game are what keeps me coming back, because while a lot's the same, everything is different every game. You're never gonna have this. Is that your chair just locking in?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Oh, dude! If you thought we were locked in before,
yeah, I think that there's an infinite number of combinations of commanders, and even more infinite number of cards and decks that.
Yeah, and even it's like on Wednesday night, just playing for fun. I was in the same pod with the same 3 guys, and we were sometimes switching around who was piloting what, but for the most part, it was kind of the same commanders. And even just the fact that it's a singleton format led to each game just feeling so different.
I also just I personally love lending out my decks to people. I get a lot of enjoyment from that, even if I'm not playing, and I'll just be looking over at the pod next to me and watch my little deck do its thing. And,
you go, little guy.
Yeah.
Oh, the pilot's doing a good job too.
Yeah, the deck's piloting itself. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's just one of my favorite things that I've enjoyed about the Lumra community growing is, I think, getting to see how so many people come at decks so many different ways. I'm sure you've probably got a similar experience with Glarb.
You talk about building decks different ways?
Exactly. Or even if you give someone your list that you have you've pretty tailor crafted your list for a very specific play style. Just having a different pilot.
The play style of winning.
For a deck that doesn't win, it seems to win a lot. But
I joke. I mean, I don't know. I think that, mine I'm trying to play in tournaments and stuff. But I get what you're saying.
It definitely seems geared for tournaments, which is good. I think that's a good thing for a CDH deck to do and to be. But even though you right, I think you have a strong personality, strong play style that comes through with the way you build your decks. Other people can pick it up and can do well, but different aspects of the list shine because different aspects of that player are strong, maybe in ways that I may not be as a player. Which is, I don't know, that's just interesting. I just like watching it.
I mean, you watch me double Culling Writ on turns 2 and 3.
I don't think I can ever cast a 2 CMC spell again. I was watching back our Rock Dress video, and I still stand by it that I think Rock Dress is really, really strong. I think Rock Dress is going to keep Sultai in its kind of place of prominence right now on the back of
keep it in business.
Culling Writ is going to be such a snap keep. Same thing with OBM. Those are 2 really, really good cards to have in your list right now.
I'm not in OBM. I'm not on OBM.
Yeah, I don't think, and for the reasons you've shared about not being on OBM and Glarb, I agree with you. But I think that Malcolm Thras
it easily could go in the deck. It's a card that I think is flexible, and if you really want to run it, you can. But there's a lot of Glarb copers that are running Shieldred and shit like that, and I'm just what are you doing? This doesn't win you the game. Doesn't put any pressure on people unless they're bad, because it's just gonna get bounced or whatever. You're not gonna be able to play it again. It doesn't do anything. But I get your point about the prominence of some decks will increase the validity of other strategies because they're oh, well, I can kind of pseudo feed off of that strategy.
Yeah, weirdly, Stacks had more of a place in the format when Dockside was around because you could so unanimously...
Yeah, if you can get under a Dockside or before a Dockside with even just a blind obedience or something like that.
Or think of how prominent Manglehorn was.
Yeah.
Manglehorn is just not in the format anymore.
I was watching... I'm gonna rant a little bit. I was watching some CDH gameplay on YouTube, and a Kinnan flipped a Manglehorn, and I'm why are you running that still? It's the year of our Lord 2025.
Anno Domini 2025. Get that shit out of here.
It's just not there. I don't know. It seems bit ignorant of like the meta and what's going on right now, and like that kind of stuff irritates me.
I mean, I guess it depends on the local meta. Like, I can see like I can see how if you're on like Magda or like a lot of Sisseys around you that are doing like Eorth lines.
I mean,
I definitely think that like if you're playing in Enchanted Grounds, I'd encourage someone not to put Manglehorn in because I don't think it's going to hit as many things as you want.
when was the last time you've seen a Manglehorn, like legitimately?
I saw it at an EG tournament.
Did that player win?
No, but they were
interesting.
They would have won if it had not gone to time.
So you're saying that given enough time, a CEDH deck would have won the game?
They were in a really, really strong position.
But were they in a strong position because of Manglehorn?
I'd have to reflect on that a little bit more.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm not giving you a hard time.
I feel like me and them were the kind of leading the pack, and their Manglehorn, I was playing Kin at the time.
Leading the pack or leading the pact?
Leading the pack. Like
wolves.
Not
leading the pack. Pact of negation. Okay.
So it did slow me down a little.
Well, sure, but like, that's what it's written on the card, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know. It's just, it could have been replaced with like a tutor. Mm-hmm. It could have been replaced with, I don't know. Gee, what's the same cost as that? Grim tutor.
You could also go one higher. I don't think Kinnins are going to be running Grim tutor.
Was it a Kinnan deck?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's also the one you were talking about. Is you said a Kinnan flipped the...
Oh, well, yeah. So that's what I was talking about. For some reason, when you said that you saw it at EG, I didn't think it was a Kinnan deck. I was like, oh, this is probably like some Abzan stack
it's Kinnan v. Kinnan.
I don't know. It's just...
honestly, I think Elvish Reclaimer could probably fill that spot better these days.
Or just a clone is probably better in Kinnan, right? Because there's how many non-human clones that you could run?
I always go a little too hard on clones, though. I think that's why I'm kind of interested in Atraxa.
Wait, what? The whole point of Atraxa is they like clone it and shit. It's like the Atali plan.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I always...
Oh, I see.
I shove way too many clones in all the decks that I'm playing. And especially, I am trying a build of Rock Thrash. We'll see if I can get games on it today. Around Atali, because there's so many, like, the deck is built around Kitten a lot.
Yeah. Dude, you know what card I've been really having fun with?
Dude, talk to me. No.
Just regular ass Kiki Jiki. Like,
dude, I feel like you don't see him around much anymore. What have you been seeing him in?
So I played it in Croxidar,
yeah.
but like, there's been more than a few times where I have Kiki Jiki, and I'm like, I need to do something with this in order to like advance my game state. Mm-hmm. And I can just say like, I don't have the combo. If you want to remove it in response to me having the combo or whatever, like you can do that, but I'm just gonna play it for value or whatever. Dude, you make a creature, it gains haste, so if you have like double Face Breaker or something like that, it's awesome. Pretty good. The other thing you can do, hold on, this intersection's a little dicey. The other thing you can do is have like an Esper Sentinel, and then in someone's end step, make a copy of an Esper Sentinel, and then have it persist through the next person's turn because they don't get sacrificed until the beginning of the end step.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is like not a huge deal, but it's kind of neat. I was doing like Scout's Warning and then playing Kiki Jiki and then tapping it on the previous person's end step, making a copy of something that I have, and then like untapping with that copy, and then Kiki Jiki's also untapped, so that I can have like 3 Face Breakers.
Oh, that's so cool.
But like, I don't think the card's like outstanding or anything. It's a 5 mana clone a creature that you have temporarily, right? But like, I think it's been like fun. It's kind of neat.
I definitely one of my favorite things about playing Orvar is in a singleton format, it's not often that you get to have the experience of seeing how 2 or 3 versions of a card can really like catapult you ahead.
Hold on.
like create like really unique board states.
Hold on. So Rog Thras runs a lot of creatures with ETBs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Geeky Jeeky's really good with creatures with ETBs.
Do you think that like he should be in like part of like kitten loops?
Well, maybe, because you can reset him with kitten, right? And you can make more kittens with him.
Oh, you can make more kittens.
Okay, so that's part of it. Then you can get like more Thunder Trap trainers. Or what other ETB creatures are there?
Thunder Trap Trainer, I think, is the big one.
Are you on like a?
I'm not on Jody.
You're not an Imp Recruiter, right?
Not an Imp Recruiter.
Okay. Is it close or is it not really?
It depends on the list. Rockfest is still really, really wide open. Spellskite, you could copy. But I guess
a Spellseeker.
Spellseeker, yeah. But at that point, like, why not just flicker the Spellseeker? I think that probably the stronger.
What do you mean flicker it?
Well, so if I'm like doing kitten loops.
No, if you don't have kitten, like it's like if you had Kiki Jiki Spellseeker, right?
Oh yeah.
So you have Spellseeker. Excuse me. You grab something and then you play Kiki Jiki later. You can make a copy of Spellseeker. Use Spellseeker to get Neoform the Spellseeker into Kitten. Then use Kitten to reset Kiki Jiki. There's also a combo with a green card called Hyrax Tower Scout.
Oh yeah.
So you can go infinite with that and win with that.
But then you have to run Hyrax tires,
which is not that. I think Hyrax Tower Scout's not bad because it untaps a creature.
The list is really, really, really tight for slots.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying this is like the most viable thing, but it just kind of sparked by like, like there's something there.
If you could.
God, if you could get Eldritch off of Spellseeker and then Eldritch the Spellseeker into Kiki Jiki, that is so sick.
Yeah. It's probably not worth it, but like could you do like birthing pod lines in Rog Thras?
Oh, I'm sure you could.
Because you pod Thrasios into Spellseeker.
Spellseeker Neoform into
you get like
how do you untap it? I don't know. Anyway.
You had Neoform Spellseeker into Kitten, find some way to, like, any non-creature links the birthing pod and turn the Kitten into Kiki Jiki.
Yeah.
But then that's kind of it, right? You kind of need white for those lines to work.
Yeah.
Are we brewing too close to the sun?
For what it's worth, Kiki Jiki can make additional Valley Flood colors. Or, so you can get more than one untap trigger on like your birds.
Oh, that'd be pretty gnarly.
Like, I don't think anything is necessarily good here, but it is interesting.
I guess at that point though, I'd almost rather just have like Cursed Mirror.
Why?
Well, because it's copy, it's non-creature, so it itself will trigger Kitten. But then I can also use it to like generate mana.
Yeah, but it's like the difference is that Kiki Jiki is a repeatable use effect on its own, and you don't need to have Displacer Kitten. Right?
Yeah.
And Curse Mirror does synergize well, but anyway. Well,
I just love copy effects. I love Machine God's Effigy, Clever Impersonator. I think that's one of the things that I kind of like about this kind of like. I don't think we're cloning as many Ristics as we were a month ago, but I do still I think that's part of what generates this kind of roguelike experience almost for me. Where I'm like in the middle of like a Slay the Spire run or something like that. When I am playing all these copy effects. And I feel like, for me, while it can sometimes generate these huge slogs of like, oh, everyone legitimately has 2 Ristics and 2 Smothering Tides, I don't know. I still haven't quite gotten over the novelty of that, so I really don't mind. I know that some people tend to find those games frustrating or like it's not the type of CDH they want to play, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of clones, like last night, I think Jay was playing Marnius, and he opened with like a turn 2 Smothering Tithe, and then I immediately copy enchanted it on Glarb.
Yeah.
And then he played a time sieve, and I wiped the time sieve.
Oh, that was nuts.
And then I got it back. I got his time sieve with a Mnemonic Betrayal. And like doing all these things like super early for value. Whereas like Mnemonic Betrayal is usually like a late game spell. But just playing it early, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna steal your Civ, so A, you can't get it back with your Luris, and like B, maybe I'll take an extra turn off this Tithe or something and then try to convert that into a win.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, it got me there. It's just, it was, you know, a bit grindy for a little bit, but.
Yeah, it's so like, I just love the idea of like how Glarb having access to a Smothering Tithe and a Time Sieve, like alters
Cracks it open.
Yeah, and the way in which it kind of, it was like a really grindy game, but also I think I still enjoy kind of the camaraderie that people experience in games like that when like all 3 other players simultaneously have the thought of like, we're fucked. And now there's like kind of this collaboration, but also we're all trying to like, we don't want to help each other out too much because then as soon as we stop you, they're gonna get ahead. And I don't know, it just feels like
I think between Jay and I, we took like 6 or 7 turns, just the 2 of us in a row, back and forth. This is this was recorded, so it will be posted at some point, but I'll have to have like a little tracker on the screen of like whose turn it was and like how many extra turns are on the stack or whatever.
It's just, I mean, how often do you get to be in a situation like that?
I went the wrong way, didn't I? That's pretty nice. Yeah, I did. Huh.
Do you want to go to, dude, if we stay on the path we're
Oh, you know why I went the wrong way?
You can go to level 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. We could go to Game Heroes. They always, shout out to Game Heroes. They always do a really good job of, they open a bunch of pre-release packs. And so you can always buy cards from them from like new sets like super early, which I've always really, really appreciated. Man, I'm still thinking about Atraxa. I don't know. I think part of it reminds me of Marnies a little bit. You have this super beefy commander, but also I think I like the idea of getting able to. I know Esper's really good, but I just love green as like a supporting color so much, and so I don't know. I'd almost be tempted to like not even do like food chain or like anything like that.
Yeah, it seems like a little much. And like, yeah, you can win off of it, but like then you have to cast Food Chain. You have to have another bat card in your deck.
And also you're putting yourself in a situation where, you know, one, like you reveal all the cards you get off of Atraxa, right? And so you're already a really big threat because we've got this like huge Vigilance, Lifelink, Death Touch, Monstrosity, Phyrexian.
Wait, so if you take out Food Chain, do you think you go as far as to like take out Displacer Kitten to Teferi as well?
I love Displacer Kitten to Teferi.
Yeah, but that also like requires you to have Atraxa.
But it's also, it can get you to Atraxa pretty easy.
I mean, I feel like right now, getting to Atraxa is not hard.
I agree.
And also, is that your primary plan? Because aren't you afraid somebody's going to just clone it?
I think I'm okay with people cloning Kitten.
No, cloning Atraxa.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is the problem I had with Tivit. Where, like, you're in a really, really solid Esper shell. You're in an Esper control shell. Your main game plan is not to play Tivit. But if your backup plan is to play Tivit, like, I went down to a 5, for example, kept a turn 2 Tivit hand, played Tivit on turn 2, my opponent's turn 2, there were 2 clones of Tivit, like immediately. And I'm like, I'm not winning this game.
I was one of those, yeah.
Other people are able to use the resources that Tivit generates better than the Tivit deck itself. So, like, I could foresee the same thing happening with Atraxa. Do you think that's why the deck maybe struggles a little bit? Because people are, like, Atraxa first game plan?
I think in CDH, while we are a commander format, and we are playing commander decks, I do think you have to be cautious of being too in on like your commander. And I think
That.
Kind of thinking back to that game, if you had to mulligan, that low, and you got to a place where, getting Tivit out was kind of your only game plan. I think there's like a lot of reasons you could have lost that game aside from Tivit getting cloned.
Okay, but if I'm playing Glarb and I mold a 5, and my mold a 5 plan is play a turn to Glarb, Glarb, other people having Glarb doesn't lose me the game.
Absolutely.
Right? And then they're not incentivized to clone Glarb on turn 2. They're incentivized to hold their Clever Impersonator or whatever for like a tithe or
maybe
whatever.
It's because I play against you a lot, but I clone Glarb all the time. I love having access to those lands. I feel like it really smooths out a lot.
Yeah, for sure. But like again, it doesn't like lose me the game, whether it gets cloned or not. But like these giant 7 mana things like a Tali and 6 mana Tivit and a Traxxas, like those are definitely like massive clone targets.
Oh,
right?
for sure, huge. I think you just take that risk.
Well, and, yeah, for sure, you have to.
I think I very much agree with you. I wouldn't want to build the deck around turboing out a Traxa. I think one of the things I've learned from watching Jay play Marnius is there are some games where it seems like casting Marnius isn't even on like his radar.
But Marnius is not a big clone target though, because other decks they can't use unless they particularly have a Tithe, which is like whatever. They can't use the resource generation that Marnius has as effectively as the Marnius deck.
He's not like an ETB trigger like Tivit or Traxa. No, but I think I more mean from like a deck construction of like Jay seems to have done a really good job building in such a way that if he gets the sense that like it's not safe to cast Marnius, the deck can like still do stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that I would want to build an Atraxa capable of doing that. That if I'm against, like...
So that goes back to, would you take out Displacer Kitten to Fairy, potentially, and like just run a 4-color good stuff pile?
I think I would want to start with Kitten to Fairy, but I'd be willing to cut it. I think I haven't played with a lot of Kitten decks. Rog Thrass is kind of like my first one, and so I'm really enjoying the way that Kitten can turn Counterspell Wars into win attempts, even if like if I'm trying to stop like another player.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
And then also silence effects are just super duper strong. And so I can see a world where like often it tracks a flip, I get like artifact mana, and then like an instant speed counterspell, an oppo creature, or like and so then it's safe to cast it to Fairy because then I can just but also I would want to feel comfortable cutting it. But I just think Kitten into Fairy is good even without the commander.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how lean you start to go or start to think about, because if you're like Food Chain is like a surplus card, like it's not necessary for the deck, although it does, it is a combo that is run, right? But like you don't have to play it.
Honestly, what would other be like? I don't know, I haven't played against enough Atraxas to know what like I'm only playing these cards because they're good when Atraxa is out.
I would say like if they run a lot of clones, that you could probably cut down on some of the clones.
Yeah.
Do you think there's room? Speaking of clones, do you think there's room in the space or like the Magic design for a anti-clone card?
Anti-clone card.
I don't know how that would be templated.
Would that kind be of like Fairy Artisan?
No, but that makes clones.
But only for you, right?
No. But I'm saying like let's say creature permanents you control cannot be copied, or something like that.
Interesting. Cannot be chosen. Your cards cannot be the chosen ones.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have to be templated in a way in which probably doesn't exist right now. But
that is really interesting. That's really
or permanents you control can.
That's essentially like I feel like we're having the conversation of like, do we need to adjust the way that like ward or hexproof functions? Because I feel like mechanically those are the ways that kind of WotC has inserted game design in order to affect
unless
play patterns.
it's stapled to a commander, and which the commander can use a unique templating of like you know, the commander's John Smith or whatever, and it says John Smith like while he's on the field, like permanents you control cannot be copied.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I don't know how that would work, but it's kind of interesting. I think it's a design space that maybe is not like explored right now.
It'd be rough because the thing is, in order for that ability to be good, the card would also itself have to be busted.
It would have to do something else, yeah.
Because if all the card does is prevent your stuff from being copied,
it's not good enough.
Yeah. Would you rather play something that gets copied, right?
Yeah.
That is, I would be super interested to hear if anyone from our audience is listening and they like know some super weird version of some card out there that we've never heard of, and you're screaming into the computer like, oh, there's already a card that does this. Let us know, because I don't know if I can't think of one.
I can't. Okay, this guy is doing 60. Oh, whoa! Holy shit! There's like a board that just.
I almost when I was moving up to Chicago.
Oh, can you fix the? How this happened?
How long has it been like that? Sorry, guys.
They just want to hear you talk.
I'm trying really hard not to look here.
It's actually fine though.
So when I moved up to Chicago, driving my dad's new truck. He's had it maybe 2 or 3 weeks, like capital N new. We're behind one of these huge trailers that like moves houses.
Yeah.
A tire falls off it, like off the. I don't know if it was a spare tire or if it popped off the rim, and it bounces. Swear to God, maybe like 6 inches over the head of a motorcycle.
Ugh.
And right into the grill of my dad's brand new car that I was driving. So that part sucked, but moral of the story was I legitimately was inches away from seeing someone's head get taken off. And I still think about that.
We had a family friend they got like a brand new Honda, and they're sitting in traffic, and there's like a work truck in front of them, and literally just sitting in traffic, and a generator falls off of the truck. It must have been like right on the edge of just like falling off. Whoa. It falls off the truck and directly onto the hood of their brand new Honda.
Oh my word.
And the only thing that the guy, our friend, remembers is that like all he saw was the Honda logo of the generator. And he's like, are you serious? Like, that's wild. Like he's through his windshield, he's like, oh, a brand new, like, you know, a Honda generator fell on my brand new Honda and totaled it.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Man, you can't make that up.
Yeah.
It's like the amount of coincidences in that story inclined me to believe that it is true. Like, there's no way that could be made up.
Oh, I saw the car. Just completely totaled, after it. But anyway. Oh, Topgolf is up here.
Dude,
I always forget about this. I haven't been up through Fort Collins in a while.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever been to Fort Collins.
What?
Yeah. How's the Magic scene up there?
I don't know anything about Magic up there.
Are there any game stores we can go to over there?
Oh, we're definitely gonna go to some. Yeah. And then look at the product that we're not gonna buy.
Start picking up Atraxa cards. So I feel like Atraxa is I don't know. It's just it takes me back to kind of like the pre-critical EDH where I feel like we were just playing all sorts of random stuff all the time.
Yeah. And
I feel like I don't want to put it together because I think that it has the propensity to break in the format. I guess it just seems like it'd be interesting. Do you feel like there's anything? I don't know. Maybe you feel this way about Krark. Are there decks that like you feel like you want to play not because you think they'd be really good, but just because that you feel like it'd be fun, or it's in a
so like the opposite of how I normally think.
Yeah.
Interesting. Fun. Yeah, like Maelstrom Water, I think it's going to be really fun. Mm-hmm. I used to play that deck a ton. And to be clear, I used to play it in CDH a ton. Mm-hmm. But that was before I was like less experienced. Or that was before I was as experienced as I am now. I was less experienced then. And like, I still got a lot of wins with it. I think Jason and I weren't friends, but we were in a tournament together, and like, I'm pretty sure I pulled off a win against him with it. But now that Dockside's gone, like that deck feels kind of strange.
A lot of decks feel kind of strange without Dockside now.
Well, and also like Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt are gone, and there's a 8 mana commander in the command zone.
Everyone always forgets they give stuff haste.
That's kind of why the deck is broken.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, because it's not just that you can flip stuff, it's that you can like flip the other Atali and it immediately does something.
Yeah, that, and like that's why I was playing Kiki Jiki, was that because like you just win with Kiki Jiki and stuff.
Or you can just like you can hit Zavala and she immediately taps for another, what, like 7 mana, 8 mana? I forget what Maelstrom's power is.
It's a 7/5.
It's a 7. Or just all this like little random stuff it gives you access to. It was such a cool way to see Teamer, because it plays the way that casual Teamer usually does, of like throwing out these huge beefy beaters, but at a CEDH pace, which I thought was really satisfying to watch.
And every time I think that like maybe the deck doesn't have it or it's not good enough, I see Atali do stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, this red-green deck is just a big mana red-green deck, and like I can add a color, and like it'll be fine.
Atali is so cool. I have never played Atali. I want Gruul to be good.
Maybe you should play it.
I should.
I think you'd get the attractive feelings with the deck that is maybe a little better. Right?
It seemed like Jacob did really well with it this last.
Yeah, the one thing I have to say is that while the deck has a lot of like forward motion, you don't have a lot of agency on like how you like your decision making is not. There's not really much there.
There's not. It doesn't seem like you. Listening to like Cam from Play to Win talk about it, it seems as if the deck doesn't really have a lot of angles of approach. You more just have like a very specific game plan, and you're kind of picking your window, which often is just as early as possible. But
Yeah.
it makes me think of Cody a little bit. Atali reads pretty face up because you know what the deck is doing, and then when it's comboing off, you're seeing all the cards that they have access to.
Yeah. Well, the difference between those two decks is that Cody has a line, right? What I would call like, oh, you're able to do the line. You need to find what's the black free?
The Forbidden Tutor.
Yeah, not the forbidden one. It's just free. It's the RKF art. Anyway,
Yeah.
you find that and you go do the thing of getting Nas, and then you go for Nas, and then whatever. Whereas Atali's like, I don't know, we'll see what we flip.
I think that's one of the things I like about playing Lumra is it has lines, but it's very improvisational.
Yeah.
And I feel like Maelstrom Wanderer was always very much that way.
Right.
But also, you're not messing around with 3 or 4 lands that enter tapped. You're messing around with the first 7 CMC spell you can find.
Dude, that deck has like every mana rock under the sun just to try to get to 8 as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I feel like Mana Drain isn't nearly as popular as it was back when you used to play it as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mana Drain is such a weird card because it's in that space of like it's incredibly powerful, but somehow not quite powerful enough for most CDH decks.
I do think Maelstrom Wanderer does suffer, I think probably in the same way that Atraxa would, while I don't think it's as good of a clone target, I do think that you can't, like...
You can't clone it.
You can't, like, just, like, oh...
you can, but, like, the trigger's a cast trigger, so you...
Which is why I just... Like, people aren't going to copy it as much as they're going to copy Atraxa or Tivit. But I do think you're going to have the same problem that you do with Tivit or Atraxa, in that you can't just, like, do it because you don't have anything else to do. It's too strong for people to just let you have it. If you have, like, literally nothing else on board, then okay. But
my experience with that deck is that if you have the mana and you rip a Maelstrom Wanderer, the Maelstrom Wander is the least of everyone's concerns, right? Because the other two triggers, the cascade triggers, happen first.
Mm-hmm.
So Maelstrom Wander is on the stack while the other two are happening.
Mm.
So by the time that it's starting to resolve, like there's other problems that need to be addressed before it comes out, and then it causes other problems.
If you start playing it, I'm gonna have to start putting Mingle Horde in.
No, it's not gonna solve the problem.
No, that is, I think
The deck just folds to Dranith, which is really the main problem. But like I'm seeing Dranith like less and less.
Dranith is so not it right now.
It just doesn't do anything because like there's so many commanders that you're like, okay, I'll just play Ristic Study and just wait for this Dranith to get shot by something, and then
I'll wait for like Rockstar to try to bounce it because they need to like breach, and then I'm just gonna Valley Flood Caller and
it just doesn't do enough. It doesn't say draw cards.
Yeah.
Archivist has been feeling really, really good.
Archivist of
Ogma.
Yeah, I like Archivist.
I mean, it kind of fits in the same slot as Dranith.
Mm-hmm. I think I also like cards like that let you mulligan really, really low. Because these days, right, like you either get like a 7 that's a snap keep, or I am now much more comfortable consistently mulliganing down to like 3 or 4.
Well, if you're in white and blue, then you've got Ristic Study, Copy Enchantment, potentially Mirror Maid. Like, not saying that you need to run these cards, but like your options. And then Mystic Remora, Esper Sentinel, Archivist of Ogma. So it's like 6 different things.
Mm-hmm.
Smothering Tithe doesn't really fit into those, but like is a value engine in itself. Any sort of clone or like Mockingbird, maybe you can copy it as for Sentinel. Like, so your options for having a smoother early game experience go way, way up as you start to play these colors.
Yeah.
That's why they're just like so strong right now.
Super duper strong. And it's, I think it's just so powerful to have the experience in those colors that lets you assess what your opponents are going to be doing. Oh, they're on their second 7, they're on 5, they're mulliganing down with me. Right? Is a copy effect worth it with like this player on 7? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And even like outside of those colors, I think I'm approaching the point with like Lumra where I feel relatively comfortable being given like any random 3 cards from the deck and like making a 1 attempt by like turn 3.
Interesting.
And I don't know, I think that like that's also something I'm appreciating because I think this is the first deck that I've played for this long, and I'm really enjoying.
You're talking about Lumra?
Lumra.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying, and it's a play I think I hope to get with Blue Farm and Rogthras. I feel like now I see, I just like woke up one morning and now I see all the cards in like a totally different way. And it now makes me that much more scared of people like Jason who have been on Blue Farm for like a year or 2.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is the level of experience they had with it. Holy cow.
Yeah, you have to get reps on other decks, but also taking time to find a deck that like vibes well, or you vibe well with, and then putting hours just into that deck. So I think like that deck for me is Glarb.
Definitely seems to be Glarb.
It was Rogside. I'm still playing Rogside, but like I sat down and played Glarb for the first video we recorded yesterday, and I was just like, man, this deck fucks.
You just seem to really be able to like get so much out of every card, and I'm sure you've poured over the deck list like 1,000 times.
I feel like I'm going insane every time I look at the deck list. I'm like, I need to put this card in. Then I'm like, I can't cut anything. So like, every time I see a card, I'm like, oh, this is a reminder, like a little notch in my brain of like why this card's good.
Absolutely.
Or like yesterday, I reaffirmed that Mnemonic Betrayal is not coming out, even if I only cast it to get like a time sim from somebody's yard.
Oh, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. I just, I now feel very committed to like, I've got to always having like like 2 or 3 decks that I play. One that's is kind of the main squeeze, but always trying to find those like meta decks, like Kinnan, like Blue Farm, like Rock Thrust right now, and pushing to the place where I don't think I'll ever like understand Blue Farm as well as you understand like Plarp. I just don't think I'm passionate enough about the deck to push it to that place. But to push myself as a player, that at the very least I should be trying to inch my way forward slowly but surely into understanding those decks, because I think the more you're able to understand those kind of like whatever the traditional like big 3 of the format are, the more that you'll be able to take that knowledge and then bring it to your own kind of passion project and just absolutely like kick teeth in.
So you've worked on Blue Farm with Jason, and you've worked on other decks, like Kinnan with Jason and stuff. There's not a deck that you and I work on together.
Yeah,
that we should definitely find one, because we spend so much time together and talking and stuff that like we need to find a deck that works well for both of us that we can put an equal amount of effort into, because we're both good players and good brewers.
Because we started with Turbo Granny, Thrasios File Smasher.
We've worked on decks in the past together before,
and then that led to Roxai, and then we got our Roxai list super duper similar because we were within like 2 cards in it. And it was I think we had like a solid week or 2 where we were giving.
Do you still have it together?
No, I took it apart for Blue Farm.
Okay.
But then I think that, and we've talked about this previously, for a variety of different reasons. For the last 2 months, Roxai just kind of like took a step back. I think it is ready to kind of like come back again. Like
it's back, baby.
It seems to be doing really, really well.
The deck, the way I'm playing it right now is I can't make any changes to it. It's perfect. it is so good, and like any of our locals will attest to that, because I just absolutely cooked like 3 games in a row, just super handily.
You seem to always do really, really well in Dimir Plus.
It's like the strongest colors.
It's really, really.
You have draw cards and you have tutors, like.
But
okay. Well, anyway, we need to find a deck that we should work on again together, because our decks that we worked on in the past have been really successful. At least like locally and stuff.
Do you think we could bring Thrasios File Smasher back?
I think it's in one too many colors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what if we just built Teamer
what?
Teamer Thrylvash.
Wait, what? But then you're like losing out on black.
Yeah.
It'd have to be like Sultai plus Breach, right? Because you're not like getting anything out of it besides just Breach and like SWAT.
I could see Sultai plus Breach being really strong, because that's essentially like what Yidris.
God, you thought yeah, but Yidris has like a decent backup option in the command zone.
That's one of the rough things I always...
Like, Yidris doesn't need or want a Seedborn Muse. Like, it doesn't give a shit about that.
Care.
Like, so that's why I think Yidris is a bit better than... It's so weird to say that. Like, it's better than those partners, because it just, like, doesn't need or desire certain cards. Whereas Thrasios File Smasher... God, we talked about how Rogthras had an identity problem. Like, this deck is even worse.
Yeah.
And like, it's not being solved. There's nothing for it to do that it's just objectively worse than a lot of other things. Oh shit, that's Tim. Oh, that's me.
Well, why am I checking my phone for your text message?
I don't know. Oh, you want to tell him I'm not playing?
Good luck at Flubs, homie.
Tell him sorry we left late. We'll probably give him a call in a minute.
Thanks for the well-wishing. Excited to do some recording.
Did you tell him we're not playing?
So do some recording. That part comes next.
Okay.
We're not playing.
Holy traffic, man.
In the event. But if we're lucky. we have a day full of games.
So what I was saying was,
is this how you usually text?
I don't know, dude. I was laughing so hard. Tim texted me and he said, "Hey, like I saw Emily ordered like a sweatshirt or something. I only have like these sizes and these colors and stuff." And I was like, instead of me just asking Emily, I was like, "Here, you can just have my phone and you can read the message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just respond." And the way she responded was not in my voice at all.
Mm-hmm.
But she was responding as if it were me talking to Tim. And I don't remember what I said. Or what she said. I just like died. I was like, is this how you think I sound? She's like, yeah, this is totally what you say. I'm like, no, not at all. You think I'm just like some like knuckle dragger, like fucking, oh, thanks, bro.
It would be something that would be funny is to like, if we tried to,
what do you say?
Sick! Exclamation point.
Okay.
If we like a little like mini Patreon thing is if you, me, and Jason all built a list for the same commander, and then if our Patreon people had to figure out which one was actually built by you,
Ooh.
or which one was just me building a list like I thought you would build, or I think you would build, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it's so the way that we are perceived by others is never more on display than when you try to like replicate it for others. So like a great example is when someone tries to do an Irish accent or something like that, right?
Oh, I very, very quickly become a caricature of myself when someone's just saying, "Oh, you'd probably like play that card or something." I'm like, no, like
it's just so. I don't know. I always think it's kind of funny, like when people try to do impressions, and you know, like you have like these famous actors like Sean Connery or something. But if we tried to do like an impression of like Jason, right? I think it's going to like reduce maybe the 15 to 16 aspects of him that we experience on a regular basis down to the one or two that we ourselves are able to replicate. And I just think there's something interesting there. I'm interested by too many things. I need to be more bored.
we were talking about Thrasia's File Smasher.
Yeah, no, that deck definitely has an identity crisis, and it definitely has a little bit too many colors in it, because essentially, like,
I've tried building it again, and it's just like, I don't know. It wants to do like the Kinnan shit, and like, it doesn't have as good of reasons to run like the Springheart and Tuco and Earthcraft and all that stuff. Like, it just doesn't need any of that.
Yeah.
Because you have black, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna tutor for the exact single thing that I want. But then you're like back to Kinnan Basalt and like Seedborn, and like, is that really what you want to do in black? Like, not really.
It's like in between Rog Thras and Thras Malcolm. But the thing is, both those decks are like 10 times faster.
Well, then your other partner commander pairing for this is Crom Ikra, which is not good. Like, you have two freaking 5-mana commanders. Like, they don't.
Bad.
I don't know. It's just there's something ain't right with it.
Yeah, that dog don't hunt. Like something, which is rough because I
love it. I think it's great.
It was really, really fun to play, but it's also you use my experience playing it was like the things I like about this deck almost necessitate me playing different commanders, which is why I went to Rogthras. Not Rogthras,
Rogsai. Yeah. You simplified it down to Rogsai, and then you were like, okay, well, I got what I needed out of Rogsai. Now I'm going to play Blue Farm, which is just better.
Oh, dude, it was so fun.
So I'm a big fan of things that I think are like inherently broken.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I think Krark is one of those things. It's annoying and a pain in the ass, but if you can get it to its broken state, you cannot lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think Kodama is another thing that's inherently broken. I don't know if you have any experience playing Kodama aside from watching me play the shitty Gruul version of Kodama.
That always looked hilarious. I actually, I used to play Yarok.
Oh man, now Connor's gonna comment on that.
And so that was an experience, and Kodama was really, really good in that.
Oh, like you just played Kodama in the 99?
In the 99.
Oh, that's weird.
Because it's an ETB trigger.
It itself is not an ETB trigger.
Yarok isn't, but if you have Kodama, then
Yeah.
you get 2 Kodama triggers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I think that gave me the experience I think that a lot of people have playing like some of the Kodama decks that you put together.
But imagine an entire deck.
But it's just like a trigger. Like there's no responding. It's like when people flip something off cannon and like, oh, I'd like to respond to your void whenever, and you're like, there's nothing to respond to, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like if you squint, it resembles Split Second almost.
Well, it's super broken because when you Kodama trigger a land in, it doesn't count as playing a land for turn.
Mm-hmm.
Lands are 0, so like even if you're just playing a random permanent or something, you can put a land in along with it, which means that like if you start taking this to it like towards its logical conclusion, you will start saying, well, if my creatures have flash, then I can like flash lands in to like sort of refund what I'm spending on the creatures.
Because you were looking at Kodama Thrasios, right?
Kodama Thrasios was a deck I played for a while, and then now I'm looking at I haven't even
Kodama Sidar.
Kodama Silas.
Kodama Silas.
Don't give me any ideas with Kodama Sidar.
I put Kodama Timna together, and that was really fun. But it's so hard to not be in blue. Abzan is such an interesting shell, but I think
it's interesting, but interesting doesn't mean it's good. Dude, there's bussies.
It needs just a little. Whoa!
We gotta stop on the way back.
Absolutely. We're coming for you, Boosies.
Bussies.
That place is huge.
Dude, it's crazy.
No,
Dude, it just goes.
Keeps going. Oh my god. No, I think that
Kodama Silas seems neat because if you have Kodama out, you play Silas, you're like, okay, here's my Rhystic study. Like,
oh yeah, an uncounterable Rhystic study.
which like it's not gonna get countered anyway. But alternatively, you have Kodama, you play Rhystic study, then you can go, oh, there's this little docent with my Rhystic study, and then everyone goes, oh shit.
Because that's, let me see, because Kodama I think does really shine with blue because you want all the card draw because they're just
You want card draw and
permanents
tutors.
out.
Yeah.
I know Kodama Sakashima.
Ooh, look at this.
Oh, whoa, bro, you're missing
Missing a wheel. Kodama Sakashima lacks good win cons and good tutors.
Thrasios is decent just because you just get so many permanents out, you're going to accidentally have a ton of mana.
Well, that and like for the land loops with Kodama. So like you have Kodama and a Tireless Provisioner and a bounce land. You make infinite treasures.
It gets
Then you have an
somewhere to go.
outlet for somewhere to go. That's why I like that deck.
Are there other ways to get blue? You've got that bird that gives your commander's ward.
Kodama Ishai.
You can do Kodama
Ishai.
Prom.
Yeah, that's. But then you're in Teamer and like red's not that good. Unless you're like trying to get a breach out.
Kodama.
So what I like about Kodama Stylus specifically,
You're making a lot of mana. It gives you card draw. It puts you on the beat plan.
think about how many creatures have flash.
Yeah.
So we have Opposition Agent, OBM, Valley Floodcaller, High Fae, Fairy Mastermind. I'm currently running. What's the 4-mana counterspell guy?
Urtai?
Urtai. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So Urtai.
That's
and like,
awesome.
So if you have Kodama on the field, you can just have a flash creature and then put another permanent in, and like that permanent could be Thassa's Oracle, or like.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
So I don't know. It seems novel And it's like not in the worst colors ever.
No, it's
and there's definitely something inherently broken with it, but it's whether you can do the broken thing or not.
Yeah. Super interesting. Kodama is a man to drain target for sure. But he's not really going to get copied, probably.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
Like,
Kenny could eat your lunch.
oh, yeah.
You can flip your Wandering Archaic to get your Thrasios out.
I don't think that most people will, like, mentally want to take on the load of copying a Kodama and, like, managing. Like, a good player will, right? But it's just, like, a lot.
You need to... I guess it does put people in, like, a win more position of, like, Kodama's busted if you have your Smothering Tithe and your Ristic. But if you have a Smothering Tithe and a Ristic, you're kind of already, like, off to the races.
Yeah.
So you could copy anything at that point, and it's going to be busted. A Ranger Captain, a One Ring.
Right.
Doesn't matter what.
So one of the lines I was thinking of was, if you have a Kodama and a Tyler's Provisioner, at flash speed, you could flash in like a Fairy Mastermind and then put a bounce land in with the Fairy Mastermind Kodama trigger, and then go infinite with that at flash speed. And that's the idea, is that you can get flash speed sort of inherently from these flash creatures because it allows you to put another permanent into play at flash speed.
Oh, that is super interesting. Yeah. It's because it's not Valley Floodcaller giving you flash; it's Kodama giving you flash.
Yes. Because it doesn't say like at sorcery speed do this or on your turn only.
It doesn't use timing restrictions because it's a triggered ability.
Yeah.
That is really thought provoking.
So I don't know. It's just something I'm working on, like, to test it.
And you don't have to dip the quality too low, because, like, Valley Floodcaller...
all those things see play, right?
Yeah.
And, like, Oppo, you can... I mean, you're also playing Thassa's Oracle and D-Console and Taining Pact and Ristic, Copy Ristic, Fish. I don't know.
You could also do... You could also do Breeze Color lines to get infinite mana. They're pretty easy.
Oh, whoa! I forgot about that. That's probably a good idea. Because I have Cradle and so you just need Cradle Talon Gates.
Mm-hmm.
But like the main problem I see is just having no outlet.
Yeah, I feel like I'm almost more interested in Kodama Thras than Kodama Silas because there's so many ways to just accidentally end up with infinite mana.
Yeah, but how do you win?
But
how do you win at instant speed?
I mean, you just talked about like Fairy Mastermind loops
in blue-green.
Yeah,
but how do you stop yourself from losing? Endurance.
Or you can be in Green Sun Zenith. You'd probably really want to be in Green Sun Zenith if you're in Simic.
Yeah, that's true.
You could run Endurance if you wanted to.
Yeah, the problem with that is that you lose like half of your flash creatures.
Yeah.
Which, it's fine.
Well, but
it's
I guess, kind of going back off what you were talking about, Endurance in and of itself is a flash.
Well, you can run Subtlety.
Yeah, and so that
Endurance Subtlety.
That also lets you, like...
oh, boy, we're cooking. Oh, boy, we're...
Right, because then you...
Wow, that truck is destroyed.
You don't even need mana to flash stuff out. You just need another green card. You can picture, like, Exploration to it.
Hey, that's not what you're supposed to do with Exploration. Yeah, anyway. Well... We can muse about that deck all day, but
I like
we'll have
Simic.
to work on something.
I like being in Simic decks.
So are you a Simic plus?
I do like Simic plus. I
think I'm a Dimir plus.
I just love green so much. I think it is...
You can love something, but you can also just recognize that it's absolute shit. Mm-hmm. And like, I think most green decks are pretty trash. Mm-hmm. It kind of takes a special something for it to be decent.
You either need like a Sovala or a Yeva or a Lumra, something that just is just busted in half, like it's a card that should not have been printed, or you need it to be like a supporting color for like Glarb, or like Noxious Revival just like gives you as many counter spells as you could ever want.
Or it gives you a double Culling Writ.
Double Culling Writ. But no, I think I would say that green is probably my favorite supporting color.
Yeah.
And so blue is just, I think, one of the funnest colors to be in, because having Aristic Study rules. And like I said, I love copy effects, and you have so much of those in blue. Yeah. So I think I do I think that's part of why, while I do think TNK is... I would feel comfortable saying I think TNK is better than Rogthras.
I feel really comfortable saying TNK is the best deck in the format.
I do feel more attracted to Rogthras just because I like the way that green affects how you combo and storm off. And so...
I wish there were a TNK... Like... I don't know. If there were like a green breach that were decent, and we could play like a TNT style TNK,
yeah,
like I'd be all for it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing like that.
Yeah,
and
Walking
like
Closet is just not good enough.
Yeah, six is like not quite that.
It's close, but 6 is hard to build around. You need something like Lumra or Corvold in the command zone that either gives you access to card draw for Life in the Loam, or Lumra for just like all those like land loops.
Dude,
6 is so close. 6 as a commander is crazy.
I always forget how freaking busted Luris is.
Luris is nuts.
And like, because the card doesn't read like much, but just like, it's just really annoying to deal with.
Luris would be good in Atraxa.
Probably. I think a lot of lists run it.
Yeah. I think that would be a great example of how you can kind of downshift the approach of the deck to just kind of run more. Right, I feel like that lets you do like LED stuff. But LED stuff puts you back on the Atraxa. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
But, yeah, I just... That is interesting. Yeah, I think I probably would consider myself Simic Plus more than Dimir Plus.
Yeah.
I just... that is a way that I potentially need to mature as a Magic player, or maybe it's just an uphill battle that I just need to accept and stop trying to like force. Because I'm just not super interested in cards like Necropotence or Adnaz. They're like kind of fun to play.
Well, they used to be good
when you resolve the card, but I don't know if I like playing decks that revolve around them.
Larb feels really good with Necro, but even then, like, you're using Necro in a very different way.
You're playing a very different type of Necro.
Dude, were you in the game where Jason flashed out a counterbalance in response to someone's imprint trigger on a Chromebox?
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, oh my god, he is cooking.
And then he tutored for a one ring. And then used the counterbalance trigger to use his one ring to counter Jay's one ring, and then he cast his one ring. Dude, that like he was like this boa constrictor, just slowly like squeezing the life out of our pod.
I guess I need to be in this lane.
Yeah, he was really, really good about. Oh, hang on. Oh, it kind of.
You can tilt it up on the camera app.
Okay. Oh, it's kind of. It's got us. It got us.
Come on, little guy.
And I thought he did a really great job of. I think. Obviously I want people to watch our content because we're super close to getting monetized. 500 subs, baby.
We're so close.
But I would encourage people to watch that game if you are interested in how to maintain a lead. Because he essentially kept that hand based off of a turn 1 Ristic study, I think. Yeah, because he had Cavern, Gemstone Cavern. And then the entire game, right, like other people were accruing resources, and sometimes he let them have it and sometimes he didn't. And just looking back over it, he like, you could say that like, oh, he's got really lucky because I think he kept his for 7, and like, oh, anyone can get turn 1 Ristic. But like Austin also had a Ristic study, like so did Jay. There were like multiple interactions.
Right, but he was just using it better.
He was just, he was in the lead, but everything he did not only pushed him further into the lead, but also pushed us a little further behind. And I thought there's many ways where I think different players in that position could have kind of like thrown the lead or let other players catch up, get a little too close. And maybe they still win, but I don't know, that was a very, very, very well played by him. And I think that's an area I'm trying to like learn as a player is you can't you can't just like take a player out of the game, but you can't let people kind of catch up to you either. And so kind of like keeping them at that distance, I think, is where it moves from like a science to an art.
The hardest part I've found about playing games, especially now, is learning to be comfortable with other people having value engines. And yeah, Glarb has tools to get rid of them, but usually you get rid of your own as well. But I mean, like, I'm never thinking, oh man, I should have swan songed that heuristic. Like, no, I don't really ever think that anymore. And a lot of times I'm like hoping for someone else to play a value engine, because I'm starting to feel confident that like I can use mine better, or my deck is built in a certain way where I know that I can get the tools that I need, and maybe they're just drawing like their little combo pieces or whatever that, like, you know.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because we've played with enough Azorius players, but I think, gotten rid of some of that fear that like drawing your opponent's cards automatically wins them the game. Not that like you should just like blatantly or wantonly just like give people as many cards as you can. But I think I am starting to get a little bit closer to that point of, I trust that like if we both have a draw engine, I think that my deck and me is good enough to beat you in the end. Not to say that that's like universally true. Like, I think there's definitely some pride there, but I think that is something you need to be able to do as a CDH player.
That's that's the place you want to be. You want to feel confident about it.
You need to be able to bet on yourself, I think. I couldn't open a whiteboard.
What are you doing? Whiteboarding? Yeah.
I think it's just important to be able to. I think you need that confidence in order to like navigate the inevitable counterspell war. I think you need to be able to be like, nah, dude, I got this. You also need to have the wherewithal to know when you don't got it, because I think I've definitely been in games where either I or another player have been way too confident, and that's when you start throwing. But like, Jason didn't use his resources to stop heuristic studies. He used his resource to stop a one ring and to stop a smothering tithe. He wasn't afraid of Jay having like a little bit. He was afraid of Jay having as much as he had, and that's where he drew the line. And I think that's a lesson I want to take into future games.
Yeah. The gosh, every time he plays that deck, I just see an aspect of Glarb or whatever deck he's playing that I'm like, I don't see that when I play it. Not to say that I don't win. Like, I won the game directly before him playing that deck.
For sure.
And then I watched him play that whole game back last night, and I'm like, wow, like, it's just amazing to see what other players can extract from the same thing.
And there's so many little decision points. Like, watching over it this morning, it was really interesting because I played into I gave him 3 draws of heuristic. I only needed to give him 2. I didn't realize that until afterwards. I could have tapped my talent gates to pay for the heuristic on my aftermath analyst. But for 1 or 2 turns, there was this feeling of like, oh, right, like, is he succeeding because should I have like held back? But then talking to him after the game, he was like, no, like, I didn't get anything off the heuristic studies that you guys like put into it. Everything that I played on my next turn, I already had in hand when I played the heuristic study. And so knowing like when to like, oh, like, we can't give this player cards, as opposed to like, I don't know, the bet I was making is that like Jason's not going to keep a first 7 in seat 4 just because it has heuristic study.
Was he seat 4 or seat 2?
He was in seat 4.
Wow.
I was like, there's something else going on here.
Hey, we've talked about like how certain decks feel better in seat 4 than others, and like, I don't know if that's an example of it. It's just maybe another data point, but
one more notch on the bedpost
of being in seat 3 or 4 and going, yeah.
But I don't know. In that situation, I think I still feed into it, because I think that, right, I'd gone down to 4, he had kept first 7. If I'm afraid of like him having more cards than me, that's the status quo. That's already like where I am, right?
Yeah. Could you imagine Limroth's heuristic study? I don't know if it would be better or worse.
I would need more discard outlets. That's what knows about playing with Hardwood Storyteller.
Look at this pupper. Look at this little guy. Look at this little lad.
He's so happy. He's so happy.
Look at his little ears.
Really cute little guy. Yeah. Yeah, I love Hardwood Storyteller.
I don't think that card's it. I know it. Oh my God! There's a second. There's a second dog. Hardwood Storyteller just causes so many problems.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, I know that's kind of the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, you're gonna pass the turn, or someone is gonna pass the turn and just have it.
I think if you're not in mono green, stay away. Do not cast. Do not put it in the list.
Is it a card that like Selvala runs?
I think some Selvala run it.
Like does Sylvan run it?
I've got to check out their list. I know Yeva runs it.
Well, yeah.
Yeva also runs a really fun creature that whenever you cast a spell on someone else's turn, you draw a card. So it's whenever any player plays a spell on someone else's turn, that player draws a card. Green has some really, really weird draw engines. No, I think I like Hardwood Storyteller.
I like the 3-mana dinosaur. I've been thinking about that one a lot.
The Runic Armasaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it as well. I feel like Verity Circle has felt underwhelming enough. I don't know for sure if it would be good, but I you know what? I should if we go to Game Store today that has one, I'll try testing it.
Well, Verity Circle's a blue card.
Yeah, but it does similar things to Runic Armasaur, right?
Oh, yeah. I have one in my binder.
Built right then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely.
That dog wants out of that car.
Get me out of here. I like Hardwood Storyteller because I'm a big yapper.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a lot of hidden text on that card for
a lot
sure.
of hidden text. Also, that
I think we're nearing our destination.
Lumra's biggest issue is turbo decks that are faster, and Hardwood Storyteller solves that problem.
Okay. Would you classify Lumra as a turbo deck?
It can be.
Well, right. I mean, Roxai mid-range can be a turbo deck, but like, is it a turbo deck?
I don't think so. I think you're usually aiming to be doing stuff around turn 3 or 4.
Okay.
I think you can get a lot of you can turbo stuff out, but I don't think you're looking to really make a win attempt.
So I wouldn't really classify it as mid-range either, because it doesn't have a mid-range plan.
No, because it can't really like grind out value. It's just looking to win.
So is it just a deck?
Is it just 99 cards with a commander?
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel like you're trying to win in the middle of the game.
Yeah, but it doesn't mid-range. It's
No.
not. It's not like, oh, I'm pivoting,
No,
and here's my draw engine.
I think that archetypes tend to be broken down as like, are you casting Lumra to get to your board state, or are you
Casting Lumra to start winning, or
exactly? Yeah, like some people kind of like build it like in that like Tivit style up. They wait to cast Lumra until it guarantees a win, essentially. But I've built it around like such a high land count and like things that can be cast from the graveyard. That Lumra's almost more like Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze than it is like Tivit Time Civ.
yeah.
But that's just how I like playing.
It's funny, like you. I don't know of a better Luma pilot than you. I've seen other people play the deck, and I'm like, just play Eric's list. It's just better. But like, I also kind of feel the same way about Glarb. Mm-hmm. I'm not to say that I'm like the best on it, but every time I see somebody else's list, I'm like, nah. Like this is not what I want in my deck.
I think that we're both players who have simultaneously invested a lot of energy into being the best version of ourselves, as well as the best kind of just generic CDH players that we can be. And so I think that leads to, like, while there are undoubtedly like really, really good pilots and really, really good Glarb brewers, the fact that you're both, I think, kind of like adds to the allure of it. No, I definitely think there are many, many ways of playing Lumra, and a lot of other pilots who I, both generically and in specific aspects of fundamentals just blow me out of the water. Which is, I think, one of the super fun parts about getting to be a part of the CDH community is we get to learn from each other and stuff like that.
See, like when you lose on Limra, which is not like infrequent, but like I'm not like the deck is good, but it's not like it's not blue farm good.
Oh, for sure. No,
but when I see you lose, you're not losing because of deck construction or piloting. You're just losing because the deck isn't quite as good as other decks.
Absolutely.
So like when I see other people play the deck, I'm either seeing their lack of piloting skills in the deck, or I'm seeing their lack of deck construction, or both. And then that compounds on the fact that maybe the deck isn't as good as other decks.
For sure.
Whereas like you're a fucking 100cc go-kart in a 250cc race, but you're Max Verstappen, right? Like, you're playing out of your mind, but you just don't have the tools to.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I think that's the difference.
Which is where I think I definitely feel
the right spot?
The pressure. I think.
Oh,
so.
brewery.
I definitely feel the desire to keep playing other decks as well, is because the way I describe it to people is I get to make a win attempt and stop a win attempt almost every game, but I can't miss. Like you just have to play perfectly, and I am not a perfect player, so I lose all the time because of that. But I don't know, maybe as we kind of come into this Flubs tournament, are we going to see the perfect CDH game?
Dude, there's a Ineos Grenadier here.
Oh, let's go.
You see this truck here?
Oh, yeah.
The tandem one?
That's so cool. Send them.
That is not cheap.
Well, thanks for kind of hanging out with us while we were driving. If you saw
I don't like being alone with my thoughts.
If you saw anyone not use their turn signal, flame them in the comments. If you saw a card that's really cool,
I didn't see the license plate. It's send them.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, hopefully, you guys are going to be able to see some Blight Club footage with us, some Flubs footage.
Maybe some gameplay.
Maybe a Runic Armasaur here or there.
Oh, jeez.
Well, hey, thanks for watching, guys.
All right. Bye.